Hi, everybody. Angel here. Hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. And I'm super excited to speak with Fran today. And she is known as the queen of vegan desserts. So we will get started very soon. And if you missed any of our previous live conversations, I have over 90 other Instagram lives on IGTV on my page. You can check them out and watch the replay. So there you go. And I'm just waiting to see if Fran will tap request to join, and then we will get started. Thanks for joining, everyone. We'll get started very soon. Thank you. Hi
Hi.
there. How are you?
Hi. I'm good. How are you? It's
I'm
good to
doing
see you.
good to see you too. Thanks so much for taking the time.
My pleasure. It's my
Uh,
pleasure.
Awesome. I want to say hi to everybody who's joining as well. I'm so happy to have you all here, as well as Fran, the queen of vegan desserts, and we'll get into that grandiose title in a moment. But Fran, thank you so much for taking the time. And I've been following you for a while, as many people have. And your reputation precedes you. And before we get into your reputation, I'd like to know if you could please share with us how you started your vegan desserts journey, how you became interested in desserts and the vegan side of things. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that opportunity to be here with you and our pals. I see Shar Nolan's here. Hi, Shar, Chef Shar. My journey started a long time ago, and it was a bit unexpected, but once it started, I never looked back. I was raised in a traditional household. I had a lovely mother who really did not like to cook. So I
Ah,
grew up on canned and frozen food, Kraft macaroni and cheese, TV dinners. In the summertime, we had a little garden, and my mom did grow vegetables, and I really did like the vegetables. But we were dessert eaters. So, the cookies were finished when there were no more left in the box, kind of thing. And that's the way it went. I was a stay-at-home mom. I have two children who now I have four grandchildren from these two children. Yay. And they call me Franma.
I love
And
that.
everybody cooks and bakes. But here's the thing. I did some work. I was a meeting planner. I was a travel agent. I did a bunch of things. But once I started traveling, I was really drawn to food. I went to Europe for the first time. All I wanted to do was be in the markets. And I just followed my passion. And so when my kids were very young, preteens, I went to culinary school. I went to the New York Restaurant School. And I just, that feeling when you walk in somewhere and you say, this is what I want to do. So it's
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
wanted to do. I just loved it. I didn't really have a plan on what I was going to do with my degree, but just lapped it up. I loved it. So when I graduated, I actually got a job. I was living in Manhattan. I moved to Philly about 4 years ago. Um, and I was working as a pastry chef in a shop, and I loved the work. I absolutely loved the work, but I wasn't feeling well, and it was getting worse and worse. And this was some digestive upset that had really plagued me my whole life. Like, I could not drink milk as a kid. I just could not stomach it. So my mom gave me ice cream for breakfast. That was her elegant solution, really.
Oh,
But in any case, I had to leave what was my dream job, what I felt was my dream job, because I just wasn't feeling well. And I was out in California doing completely different work. Now, remember, I live in New York. I pick up a book by Dr. Emery Colvin, who is the founder of the Natural Gourmet Institute. How did I not know about this school when I lived right there? But when the student is ready, the teacher shows up. So, I just felt that what Dr. Colvin was saying, that what you eat affects how you feel and your health, made sense. And it just dawned on me, well, you're lactose intolerant, clearly. So overnight, I'm putting my other ear bit in here. Overnight, well, I thought I was just giving up dairy, but I gave up all animal foods. And I don't, everybody, as far as I'm concerned, everyone's bio-individual. What worked for me doesn't work for everybody, but I'm a person that just jumps in. And I never felt deprived because there was this whole abundance of foods that I didn't know about. So I just couldn't have been happier. And I wasn't thinking about desserts at the time. I was thinking about just really whole foods, plant-based, learning about them. And then I know some of our listeners and viewers know this story, but it makes me laugh every time. So my son said one day, "You're not putting a candle in a baked sweet potato and telling me that's my birthday cake." So I had to start thinking, and true, okay, true. And then I was teaching pretty much right away, and I saw people who were super strict, would never eat desserts. They were like drinking maple syrup in the back of the room, balance. So I started thinking about how I was going to make some vegan desserts that would taste good. We're going back well over 25 years ago. Today we have this abundance of plant milks to use and ingredients and fine chocolates and, organic flours. We didn't have any of that. We just didn't. So I set up a test kitchen, and then finally there were no cookbooks that made any sense. There was nothing. But I just took the techniques that I learned traditionally, which was really important to know these techniques, and apply them to vegan ingredients and get to know them not only by the flavor, but by the properties. And so one day my taste testers went finally jumping all over the place about a chocolate cake, and they said, "This is the chocolate cake to live for." And that's how that cake got its name. That cake is still, I would say, my most popular cake. And now there is the first version, which I stand by. Thousands of people have made this cake. There's a no fat added version for the whole food plant-based people. It was Rip Esselstyn's wedding cake. In fact, there is a gluten-free version. So, I couldn't be happier with what I do. I feel that what I can do is give people an opportunity. Desserts are treats. That's the way I see it. Hopefully, we have birthdays, we have celebrations. Let's have something that tastes absolutely delicious, made with real ingredients. I don't use any junk, none. And then, I eat greens and grains and beans. I eat oatmeal every single morning. Do I have a little treat? Yes, I do. So that's my story.
I love that, friend, because I can relate to some of what you were saying, in the sense that I have always been lactose intolerant. And growing up, I couldn't eat, consume whole milk. And so my family, I guess a lot of us were lactose intolerant, or in those days, people were looking for fat free. So my family went to, my family went to 2% milk, which, had less of the fat, I guess, less of the whole lactose, I guess, content. I have no idea. But I really had trouble with dairy for many, many years. So I can really relate to what you're saying. And
most, I'm sorry for interrupting, but the fact is that most adults, almost 100% of adults, are lactose intolerant. We're not meant to drink the milk from another species. And Dr. Colvin used to teach that the low-fat milks are worse. They have more protein.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
Oh, I wish I knew that back then.
Well, we know what we know when we know it,
Yeah,
and that's it,
yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's the joy, and we learn from each other.
Yeah, and I want to say hats off to your son who prompted you, who prompted you to be more creative, shall we say, and to kind
Yeah.
of,
He got me thinking, and today when he was growing up, pre my vegan days, till he was like 14, his birthday cake, I made my kids what they wanted.
yeah.
And Michael always wanted baked Alaska, which, if
Oh,
there's anybody, and
wow.
this is an old fashioned dessert that's become a thing again. It's one of my
Wow.
most popular recipes in my Essential Vegan Desserts course, but it's cake, ice cream, and meringue.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
I can do vegan cake, I can do vegan ice cream, and because of aquafaba, which is chickpea water, I can do vegan meringue. So we've got, he can have what he likes now. And I just think it's thrilling. I think it's thrilling. When people feel that they're not going to have to give up some of their favorite foods, they're more likely to listen to the reasons for a plant-based diet.
I love that because you are appealing not only to the lactose intolerant, you are appealing to those who also have gluten sensitivities, and also people who are watching their fat content, their
Yeah.
sugar, their like artificial sugar content or their
Mm,
processed sugar,
yeah.
you know. So you're really speaking to so many audiences, and I think what is great is that then you can, like you said, you can bring them along more easily because you're like opening that important window or door for them that speaks to them, and then they're more willing to listen.
Absolutely. I mean, and I don't try to make one thing for everyone because I'm vegan. That's, and I consider myself, thank God, as a healthy vegan. I mean, I am a grandmother. I'm not taking any medicine. The only difference between me and everyone else in my relatives is my diet and lifestyle. But people who are sometimes, so I'm not lactose intolerant, but today we want to be able to accommodate people. I mean, I am lactose intolerant. I'm not gluten sensitive, and I
Right.
don't have celiac. We want to be able to accommodate these people. It's not a matter of just, some recipes, it drives me crazy. They say, well, just take out the wheat flour and put in some gluten-free flour and you'll be fine. No, it takes more than that. And so there have been so many opportunities for me that I couldn't have expected. I mean, doing this work has led to tours, cooking on cruise ships and in Italy and writing books. And, I just think it's thrilling because it's a growing field. And about 5 years ago, the founders of the Ruby Online Culinary School approached me about creating a 3-month essential vegan desserts course for them. And I think Ruby, and that's spelled Rouxbe, if there's anyone who doesn't know it, this is the leading online culinary school in the world. We have students across the US and all around the world. And it's just fabulous. So I was very interested, but I couldn't understand how I would translate, hands-on teaching to online. But my friend Chad Sarno at the time had created the plant-based professional program at Ruby. Chad is very fussy. I had this wonderful team to work with. And I thought, I was teaching twice a year in New York at the Natural Gourmet, a vegan baking boot camp. So it's 5 days. We could only accommodate 14 people twice a year. The wait list was hundreds. Now I have 3 months to do a really deep dive into how to make reliable, fabulous vegan desserts, and we cover everything. So, I was just thrilled. I got to work with these genius chefs and team, and I have had professionals in the program, chefs with all the badges, vegan, not vegan, and absolute beginners. And it's just fabulous. I just want to say that there is right now a cyber sale on all of the Ruby courses, and my course, the Essential Vegan Desserts course, is 40% off. It's the lowest price of the year. So if there's anybody who's interested, you can go to ruby.com and look for it, or send an email to me, fran@francostigan.com, and I can, answer some questions. I just think that we have to learn technique. We have to learn foundational technique, and then we can make wonderful desserts. I don't want to put things out there where people are going to say, see, it's vegan. I told you it's no good.
I agree with you. I am typing the URL on the bottom
Oh,
here
that's great. Thank you.
to in case anyone wants to see it written out. So
Thank
please
you.
go ahead. Sure, please go ahead and check that out. I was on your website earlier, and I was like, oh my gosh, they have a really good sale. So I guess she'll talk about this. And
A
there you are.
really good sale. And, and another thing, I saw that Chef Shar Nolan was on. I don't know if she's still here, but when we met, Shar, who I admire so much, and she is very knowledgeable specifically in whole food plant-based. She said to me, I brought her some truffles, and she said, gee, they're really smaller than those golf ball size things that you get in so many shops and things. So my idea about desserts is that they should be fabulous. They're desserts. My very first boss, when I was really cutting back on sweetener, I mean, we can cut back. The old-fashioned desserts, sugar was cheap and sugar was a preservative. We don't need as much. But I went crazy, and he said, Costigan, put some sugar back in those brownies. You're making brownies, not brown bread. So, okay. So I used just enough organic, vegan, fair trade, because ethics matters to me, to make desserts. But they happen to be a bit smaller than what many other people make. Well, 1-2 perfect bites is really what you need.
I
And
was
then I'll
thinking they're
fill
like,
up. Yeah,
I was thinking they're like bite size, which is more, it's more enjoyable, I think.
I think so too. I mean, there are times for a bigger piece. This is, I don't know, I just pulled this out. I want to show you. My friend, Chef Kathy Gold in the Kitchen Cooking School gave me this as a gift. And I said, is it a tea infuser? And she said, think about it. So it's not a tea infuser. Look what it does. It's a one-handed
Oh
way,
my
a one-handed way to get a
gosh.
little powdered sugar on something. I think it's so
Oh,
adorable.
cool. Oh,
So
because
cool.
it has like little holes in it.
Yeah, and you just flick your wrist and
I
it
love
works.
that.
I don't buy a bunch of things that I don't need, but having the right tools is very important.
I
Pots that aren't going
agree.
to burn, knives that cut, and take care of them. Take care of them. I really do. And we also teach, and it's super important, the concept of mise en place, which just means getting everything together. So if your sugar has to be lightly ground, because vegan sugar, even, the brands vary in the size of the crystals, but it's always a larger crystal than white sugar. We want to make something that's fabulous. These things make a difference. So you lightly grind it, or you finely grind it. Instead of having caster sugar, I don't stop if I need 2 tablespoons. I have it done ahead. If nuts have to be roasted and cooled for a recipe, you do that ahead, and then you have everything together. I mean, if you're making a recipe that calls for 1/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon and you don't have it, okay, you discover you don't have it, you can probably make your recipe. If you don't have 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder and baking soda when you're making your cake, that's not going to work.
That's a different story.
That's a
Even
different
I know
story.
that. Even I know.
Right. Well, I think, it's common
Yeah.
sense, but when you
Yeah.
have everything together on a tray,
Yeah.
it just flows. Make sure that your oven is preheated. My oven goes ding, ding, ding. I know it's not preheated. I have an oven thermometer in there.
Yeah.
It takes a long time. Make sure the rack is where the recipe should tell you, cakes in the middle usually, pies on the bottom. You don't want to burn your cookies. You don't put that on the bottom. So that's the way
Those
it
are
is.
those are awesome tips. Oh my gosh. I just want to thank everyone who's joining. Please put your questions and comments down below for Fran, and she'll be happy to answer. And we have a beautiful comment here about your course. It's a fantastic course. So you have a fan here
Thank you.
giving you kudos for your course, and
Thank
we'll
you.
dig into that a little bit more. And so, Fran, please tell us, how did you gain the title of the Queen of Vegan Desserts? How did that all come about, please?
Can I tell you that I have no idea? People just started saying it. It was a little, I was like, Queen? Not the Queen.
Of
But
course.
it kind of, it's stuck. It's stuck. So I
Awesome.
don't wear a tiara. I actually wear a little scarf because when I'm cooking, I like to tie my hair back. But I don't know. It's stuck. You know, going back to, 25 years ago when I was teaching at the Natural Gourmet, after the vegan baking boot camp, a number of students got together to give me a gift, and they gave me a chef coat that said, "The Diva of Dairy Free."
I love
So
that.
maybe Queen is better.
I think so. I think so. I guess
Yeah.
back then, the whole, well, diva was very popular back then, that word.
Yeah.
It still is, but super popular back then. But also the whole like dairy free, like that's what made you stand out as well, because
Yes.
back then there wasn't so much about plant-based and vegan, like people weren't talking about that as much.
Actually, when I changed my diet, as I told you, I really just changed it overnight. No animal foods whatsoever. I bet you that I didn't even know how to pronounce vegan. I didn't know any
Yeah,
vegans.
me
I
neither.
didn't know any. So I would say the books I found and the restaurants I found in New York were really macrobiotic. And that's what I was doing. I mean, I went, of course, then I went on to become the pastry chef at Angelica Kitchen, which was the first vegan, very renowned restaurant in New York City. And then Dr. Colbin said to me, change your diet, your whole life is going to change. Your friends are going to change. It's true. So now when I published my cookbook, Vegan Chocolate, I actually wanted it to say chocolate desserts for everyone, and then the reading
Mm.
line to say vegan or something like that. And the
Yeah,
publisher, because vegan can be political.
it
And
can.
I know there are some people who are going to walk by a book
Yeah,
that says vegan,
yeah.
but the publisher was thinking that it was actually a selling point. So I asked, could the second line, dairy-free desserts, unapologetically luscious and decadent dairy-free desserts, because some people don't want to use the word vegan,
Yeah,
some people want to say plant-based, but so many people need dairy-free, and
yeah,
I think it's important to meet people where they are. I have done
yeah.
demos where moms will literally start to cry. They're like, I didn't think my child who is allergic to dairy could ever have chocolate pudding again. Thank you. So whatever works for people, I just know, thanks, Victoria. Victoria graduated from Essential Vegan Desserts and is a chocolate sommelier, I would say. She's really smart.
I
Um,
love that.
so that's flattering. But it's, someone is going to show up around your table. Thanksgiving just happened, who has dietary considerations. So my feeling is, let's make the food speak for itself. I was so excited in the beginning. I'd say, you got to try this. You're not going to believe what's not in it. I don't do that anymore. Just let the food speak for itself. Doesn't have to be fancy. I'm not a decorator, but neatly on the plate, and everyone will like it. I mean, there aren't too many. I made this earlier because I was testing some recipes, but and I see it setting up, but this is just some chocolate ganache. It's nothing but
Oh my gosh.
an ethical chocolate, a fair trade chocolate. a high percentage. The higher the percentage, the lower the sugar, with some Oatly, oat milk.
Wow.
And I really do prefer Oatly, well, because when I'm going to be serving people and I can't poll them, who's
No.
allergic to? So I assume soy avoiders. I will tell you that I've been eating soy for 25 years. I like soy milk. I like tofu. I've been eating more sprouted tofu, and I like tempeh, and I like edamame. So,
Yeah.
okay. But there will be soy avoiders. There will be people who are allergic to nuts and oat milk. I haven't had a problem with anyone yet.
That's an awesome approach you're taking because again, you're appealing to the widest audience possible, and I think that is just key in getting your message across. So I really applaud you for that because there
Well,
are a lot of people who have nut allergies and like you
yeah.
say, yeah. So I think that's super awesome. I want to oh yeah, we have another comment. Lovely book. There you go. Got to run.
Thank
Excellent
you.
comment.
That's a lovely comment. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And gotta run. Excellent content. Well, thanks for joining, even though you gotta run. Thank you so much. And so tell us, please, and we've touched on it a little bit, but tell us, please, Fran, a little bit about, the inspiration behind your recipes. And I guess we can combine that topic with your books. What is it that's in your mind, I guess, when you are creating these recipes and books for your, I guess, your audience? Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting question. It really, I would say it's twofold. I think about the things that I like and that I miss or that appeal to me. Certainly childhood favorites figure in because food is memory, so much of it just touches our memory. So when I was growing up, we lived in Brooklyn for a little while and moved to Long Island when I was 5. But there was a very famous bakery called Ebbinger's Bakery, and they were known for their blackout cake. And my dad went every weekend to get this cake. And what was it? It was 3 layers of chocolate cake, filled and frosted with chocolate pudding, and then crumbs all over the whole thing. I knew I had to make this cake for my book because I loved it, this cake. It
Yeah.
was memory. And it wasn't hard to do because I have several chocolate cake recipes and I have a chocolate pudding that I call almost instant chocolate pudding because it's quick to make. Why does chocolate pudding talk to me? Well, my mother, who didn't cook, did make chocolate pudding, but she opened a box of Mighty Fine Instant. She took out those egg beaters. Things went all over the place. And then it had lumps and it had a thick skin. And I'm telling you, in the time that she did that, I can make this really delicious chocolate pudding with the kind of sweetener I want. I'm using more coconut sugar lately. I can, there's no junk in there. There's nothing to keep it on the shelf. So that was one recipe, the baked Alaska. I told you that did not make it into my books because I didn't know about I learned about aquafaba right after vegan chocolate was
Right.
developed, but that was, another. I was like, okay, Michael loves baked Alaska. I've got to do that. My daughter likes lemony desserts, and then people ask me, have you? Well, I like this. Have you ever thought about making it? Also, I look to like magazines and books and restaurants. I'm very lucky. Some of our viewers may know the restaurant Veg in Philly, but it's VEDGE. This is the chefs, Rich and Kate, are a couple in life. Rich is the executive chef, Kate is the pastry chef, and they are James Beard nominated finalists, chef finalists. Not because it's not like it doesn't say James Beard vegan, it's James Beard. I live about 6 minutes away. Kate's Desserts, yeah, I'm really lucky. People think I moved here because of veg. So
I wouldn't blame you, actually.
yeah,
I wouldn't
right
blame you.
after I moved here, it was very close to my birthday, and so my sister-in-law was visiting me, and she said, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "Veg." I hadn't realized. I looked at the address. I'm like, Locust Street. I live on Locust Street. It's 2 blocks away.
Amazing.
But Kate's desserts are unbelievable, just unbelievable. I like this time of the, my desserts are seasonal. You're not going to
Yes.
find me putting raspberries on a cake. In the wintertime, here, I will use cranberries. But I like sticky toffee pudding. And that was very easy to make vegan. I like dates a lot. I have wonderful dates from Rancho Medalucho. I just got 15 pounds, as a matter of fact. And so that's how I get my inspiration. I look at trends and I think, can I do it? Does it make sense? What kind of ingredients am I going to have to use? Because I'm not big on using a lot of junky things. When
Yeah.
someone says to me, I don't want sugar, I'm not a proponent of artificial sweeteners at all, or even the non-nutritive sweeteners. They all have effects. So I would rather offer people like that something that is naturally without sugar, that is naturally without oil, like a beautiful fruit soup and salad gel. And I have recipe for that and some others on my website, but it's luscious and a little bit of a cream, and then it tastes really good, but it's naturally without gluten, it's naturally without added sugar, it's naturally without added oil. So if you just get clever about things, you can figure it out. But you need to learn the techniques first. You need to have
Yeah.
a baseline before I say this all the time to my students or anyone who will listen. Before you start making changes, if you don't want to make the whole recipe, I can understand that. Time is money and ingredients cost money. Divide the recipe in half, even by a quarter. Instead of a cake, make a really small, I have 4-inch cake pans or a cupcake. See what it is. Take the teeniest little taste, observe it. Then you start making changes.
I love that tip. I just love that tip. Oh my gosh. That is just genius. And I actually ended up having to cut some recipes in half when I took some vegan cooking classes 2 years ago because, we were like set up in pairs. But there was an odd number, so I was by myself because some people came with someone, with one of their loved ones, I guess. And so yeah, I would just cut the recipe in half and just make like just
Yeah,
one portion. And I think it's so genius what you just said. Like even if you have to, just make like a mini portion.
make a mini, but watch it. How is the texture? And then how long is it staying fresh on the counter? How long is it staying fresh in the freezer? There's a lot you can learn from making a smaller amount, but you have to make the first recipe. And you also have to find good recipes. Today people will write to me and say, "Oh, I made this and it was horrible." I said, "Well, where'd you find the recipe?" "Oh, I don't know, somewhere out there in I Google." Well, you don't have to start from scratch anymore.
Yeah.
There are so many talented vegan chefs and pastry chefs. Find a recipe from someone who's reliable, who read reviews. Don't just, or also people who say to me, rarely, because usually it's like, "I made your cake, it was great." "Oh, great, you can read, you can do it. If you can read, you can do it." But I'll have the occasional person who'll say, "I didn't like it, but I don't you know I don't eat flour, so I put in oats, and I don't like chocolate, so I used carob, and I don't want oil."
But they
It's like,
changed it. They
it's not
changed
it's
it.
not my
Yeah.
recipe. Go to
No.
one, make a beautiful glazed poached pear, with a little raspberry sauce or cranberry
Those are
sauce or chocolate
awesome.
sauce. And then you are not going to have your triggers, but don't be pulling, things are in there for a reason. That's
Yeah,
what
no,
I
because
would
it
say.
it does change the stability of the whole recipe. But I really love, that you're focusing on season, so that makes it more interesting, throughout the year. I think that's just awesome because, like I believe in like changing with the seasons, and that way it's more, it's kind of like for
Yes,
me, variety is the spice of life. So you just get to see like such an abundance, like you were saying
such an
earlier.
abundance. And here in Philadelphia, I mean, in New York, I had farmers markets, but here there's a farmers market at Rittenhouse Square on Saturday. We, I'm near the mushroom capital of the United States. I love mushrooms. I get a lot of mushrooms. And then there's a market on Tuesday and a market on Sunday. So, and I try to shop in local organic markets. And as I said earlier, ethical
Yeah,
ethics matters to
I
me.
agree.
People don't know what they don't know. You can't be angry with people. I did not know until I read about it or someone told me that there is child slavery today still in the
Yeah,
production of chocolate.
I
Well,
saw
at
that.
best, chocolate is dangerous. The production of chocolate is dangerous work. You're in the jungle. It's hot. It's sweaty. There's machetes. I won't support. I will, yes, we vote with our dollars. I
Yeah,
will pay more money for
yeah,
ethical chocolate. And today there are many. So there's a list that's kept up to date. There's even an app. It's foodempowermentproject.org, the chocolate list. And
great.
you can check your chocolates. There's a movement now for vegan wines. I didn't know wine wasn't vegan,
Me
but
neither.
well, Francis Gonzalez has the vegan wines, and then I
Yes.
had the thrill of a lifetime. I've had a few thrills of a lifetime. When I was in Italy, I got to go to the Corciabella winery, and the wines are top wine spectator wines,
Wow.
like top wines. It's all vegan, sustainable, beautiful. There's so much caring. So again, we don't know till we know.
And I
I saw
didn't know
some,
that.
yeah,
I didn't know
it's,
that until I became vegan. And I have been in several clubhouse rooms with Frances, and she's amazing. And I just really applaud her for,
yes,
taking on this big industry that's been around for, centuries or millennia even. So I applaud her for
right.
that.
It's about raising awareness and not
Yeah.
being, I think being vegan, for me, vegan is about compassion, and that extends to people as far as I'm concerned. So I never get in someone's face and say, how could you do that? Or
Yeah.
how can you,
Yeah.
it's like bring people along, explain things, answer their questions. And over food is a wonderful, and over dessert. Again,
Totally.
no one's going to say no when you come. Hey, would you like to talk about vegan and have a little, well, it's hot, Hanukkah, Thanksgiving, everything slid into one this year.
Holidays.
Holiday,
Yeah.
holiday, holiday. And,
Yeah.
and let's talk about it. People don't know. I mean, in terms of the child slavery, there shouldn't be slavery at all, but in the production of chocolate, it's only an accident of birth that my
Yeah.
grandchildren are having a lovely life, and
Yeah.
they're not there. We're
Yeah.
all one, really.
Yeah.
So I can, when I'm teaching, I can talk about that. When people ask me, what's your favorite chocolate or what chocolates do you like? Well, there are many, but I can bring in, did you know this, that if you look for this label or this
Love
labeling,
that.
and to give people the benefit of the doubt. I recently did 2 days, did a training for an international pastry company. I was thrilled to be invited. I studied up. I knew what I wanted to teach them. It's a very big company. They are really thinking about sustainability matters a lot to them. So they have chocolates that are exquisite, that are ethical. And since they're looking at everything sustainable, it was, so we're really making inroads, I would
I
say. And
agree.
it's up to all of us to be kind,
I agree.
compassionate, help people. answer that. There's no such thing as a dumb question, really.
I agree with you. And that's what I love too. Like you're just inserting the information. You're informing, but you're not judging anyone and you're not like, putting them down. Just like you didn't know, I didn't know that, they don't know. Like it's just so much camouflage and so much, advertising and propaganda, and we're just, the veil. We have, we become aware, and our veils are lifted at different points on our journey. And I just love that
Right.
you're like sprinkling this information as you sprinkle your ingredients in your courses and in your conversations. You're sprinkling that important information and, raising awareness.
Well, I think that's something that we can all do. Judgment? No, no, I'm not going to. I mean it today. There's a lot going on, so
I know
it's
there's
getting
too
a
much
little
of that.
it's
Yeah.
getting a little difficult, but we do what we can do to keep ourselves grounded
Yeah.
and surround ourselves with lovely people and try to bring along people who are a little reluctant.
Yeah.
By listening, you get a sense of how to talk to particular people. That's what you do. So,
Yeah, like
and
what's their
then
struggle?
what's
What's
their
the
struggle? What's
mm-hmm,
their struggle? And
mm-hmm.
listen patiently and make a meal for them. Give them a meal. There are a lot of people I know in my building who are not vegan, don't identify as plant-based. Well, they've been hanging out with me and they're like, when is your demo over? Are you going to have some of that
Oh,
chocolate pudding
I
or
love
or
that.
your cornbread or whatever? And then they send, I'm telling you, I'm getting pictures. I'm getting
Oh,
messages of roasted vegetables and
oh
all
my
kinds of things
goodness.
that people are making. And it's just so exciting. It really is.
You're
And
planting seeds. You're planting seeds.
and
You're sprinkling all of that
yeah,
over.
it's something we can all do. So if we do it with cake, glass of wine, or kombucha, or a mocktail, then why not? Why
I,
not? I
I
think
agree.
I am honored to be able to do it. I'm so grateful that I'm able to do this, help people find their way or have a birthday cake or an anniversary cake or a holiday cake. That's, what could be nicer, really. I love it. And I hope that I can keep doing it. I mean, there just seems to be such interesting work. I'm working with a company now that has some food in the market, a food line, and they want two very particular items. So I'm working on developing those. So when you're in the food world, there are so many things that one can do, which is
That's
really great. But it's
beautiful.
always, to me, comes down to the people, people.
Totally. So I want you to please tell everyone a little bit more about your books in particular, and then we'll go to your Ruby course. Just to expand a little bit. I know you've touched on both topics, but I'd really like for you to expand a little bit, if you will, on your books first. Thank you.
Well, I would love to. Thank you. Well, my first book has a very long title. It's called More Great Good Dairy-Free Desserts Naturally. And it was published by a company called the Book Publishing Company. That is their name. And they were one of the first publishers that did vegan books. And they approached me. I didn't know a thing about how to write a book. I'm very creative, but I'm not so great, or wasn't so great at the time, about writing things down, which I would tell you, I have notebooks all over the house.
When you
And
get inspiration, you
I
start writing.
write in them and I write the weight down, and now I'm converting to gram weight and so on. So
Yeah.
they asked me would I like to do a book, and I was really flattered and excited because I did, but I was nervous too. So, but we did it. And that book is different from my next book. That book was, the recipes work, and they're still requested, and I still make them. So I would say they are more on the healthier side.
Okay.
And the language has changed. I say things a little bit differently now.
Yeah.
But that book is, I don't know, it's been reprinted many, many, many times. I'm hoping, because I do like the book, I would love to republish it for an anniversary edition with nicer photos and a cover.
Yeah.
But I call it my pink book. It's a nice book, and it is still available, which is something to have a book from such a long time ago still in print. I think that was 2006.
That's
Then my
awesome.
book, Vegan Chocolate. How that happened was, I love cookbooks. I collect cookbooks, and I read them. I read them, and I noticed there are so many beautiful chocolate cookbooks.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
You're probably aware
Like
of, I
mouth
think.
watering, just mouth
Mouth
watering.
watering. There was a real hole in the market. There was not a vegan chocolate book that was beautiful. I don't even think at the time there was nothing really. So I talked to my literary agent and I said, "What do you think?" And she said, "I think it's a good idea. Write a proposal." And I was very lucky because a few publishers wanted it. I got a gorgeous, gorgeous book. I'm going to show you the cover. It's right here.
Awesome.
Look at this book, is so
Oh
beautiful.
my gosh, I could just put my
And
mouth
I am
through there and bite that
so,
cake.
this book there's a the first one, there's a German edition, then came the Italian edition, and then came the French edition. And it's just gorgeous. And so there's a lot of information because that's the way I am. Go in the kitchen, wash your hands, turn on the lights. And so, there's just these beautiful,
Oh
beautiful
gosh.
recipes.
Are
And
those like eclairs?
yes,
Oh, they're
they are.
gorgeous.
And
Gorgeous.
so there's a whole chapter on truffles. There's a chapter on cakes, on showstoppers, on liquid desserts. There's even a chocolate vodka. And then
Amazing.
um, ice creams. So that, anybody who wants to write a book, and I know today a lot of people are doing ebooks too,
Yeah. Yeah.
go for it. Know that it's a process. That's
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, it was a 24/7 job. And then I didn't even want to send recipes to my testers until they were pretty perfect, because I don't think it's someone else's job to
True.
finish my recipe. But the recipes are very well tested, and so I'm very happy with that book. I am.
Well, so is someone else in our audience because they're saying, I love that book with a heart. So there you go.
Oh, that's so sweet. I'm glad. I'm glad. And again, if you can read, you can and follow directions,
Yeah.
you're assured of having a good result. And I don't use any odd ingredients. I have a
Yeah.
nice glossary in there. I don't use
Yeah.
anything peculiar. And that book, Vegan Chocolate, because it's newer, but it's not brand new, has both volume and gram weight. And more I'm encouraging people to use gram weight,
Yeah.
which means getting a digital scale. They're
Yeah.
nothing to buy.
Yeah.
And
They're
it just makes
popular.
work so much easier. You can just keep zeroing it out and adding ingredients. And then if you want to scale down or up, you have weights to work with. So it's more precise.
I agree because, to say like cut, I don't know, like for example, an apple, like when I'm making a smoothie, I'm thinking, well, apples are all different sizes, That's just
Exactly.
one example, right? And so like the weight is really the most precise way to go about it, I think.
Yeah, I have some pet peeves, like when aquafaba, which if there's anybody here who doesn't know what it is yet, it's chickpea liquid, and it whips into meringue, just like egg white meringue. Only you don't have to worry about getting salmonella when you taste
Oof.
it, and
Yeah.
it's much more stable. So you can make meringue cookies, you can make pavlova, you can do your baked Alaska, the whole 9 yards. Anyway, when
Yeah.
I started hearing about it a few years ago, I thought, nah, that can't be.
It's
But
too
one
good to be
day,
true.
it doesn't make any sense. And to this day, the man who discovered it Goose Wobbit, who's French, nobody really knows why. And it's been written up in Food and Wine, Cooks Illustrated, everywhere. So, but most of the recipes I saw said, open a can of chickpeas, drain the liquid, put it in your mixer, and start beating. I'm like, that is not very precise, because every can is probably going to have a bit of a different amount of liquid.
Yeah.
Let's get this precise. So playing, it will work, but then again, the next time it might not.
Yeah.
Let's standardize this. So I have discovered that if you're using canned chickpea liquid and you want to buy the unsalted, and I do buy organic, you reduce the can holds between 2/3 and 3/4 of a cup of liquid usually. And I love chickpeas, so it's not a problem for me to eat the chickpeas.
They're yummy.
Then
Super yummy.
I reduce the liquid by 25% till it's a half cup. Chill it, keep it in the freezer, use it cold, and it works every single time with a little cream of tartar. It's just the same way you would make egg meringue. But I like to cook dried chickpeas. I'm a big
those are
dried
great.
bean fan. I have a
They're so
pantry
good.
full of beans. And well, that liquid is thinner. So Ruby, for the Essential Vegan Desserts, we have live events once a month. And if anybody here would like to come on December 8th, which might be next week or the week after, the week after.
Yeah,
this.
next week.
Right.
Yeah, next
I'm
week.
doing a whole session on cocoa powder.
Oh,
And
wow.
and the live events are free. You just have to register. So that's it. Anyway, I had a guest for a live event, and her name is Ju Deber, and she's vegan. She wrote a cookbook called Aquafaba.
Oh, wow.
And it's a wonderful book. If anybody's interested, I recommend the book. That's for sure. I also have the exact how-to on my website. It's step-by-step to do it. So when I cook from scratch my chickpeas from dry in my Instant Pot, use a piece of kombu seaweed. That helps. And then I will reduce that liquid, chickpea liquid, by at least a half until it's more viscous. And that works every single time. It's just so much fun. It's
You're
so much
like
fun
dropping so many like gems, as people say. You're dropping like so many great tips here, though, friend. This is awesome. I did put the URL for Ruby, www.ruby.com. So if anyone wants to check that out, please do so. So yeah, tell us a bit more then about your course or courses. Thank you.
Yeah, I will. So the Essential Vegan Desserts course is truly the only course of its kind in the world where vegan desserts you're going to culinary school and you're learning everything you need to know. We have a whole chapter on, we start with sanitation. Any culinary school will teach you about sanitation and how to set up your pantry for vegan. You get a list of equipment, suggested equipment. I always tell people get what you need. You can always add, but buy good. We have a private Facebook group so people can ask each other, hey, I need a new mixer. What do you recommend? Blah, blah. People stay forever in this group. It's wonderful.
I love that.
And then there are units on different kinds of flour, what flour does, on ingredients. What do the ingredients do? What do you have to know? There are quizzes, there are tests. I do all the grading. And then there are units on fruit desserts, on using key ingredients, like to do vegan desserts correctly, successfully. That's the word I want to say, successfully. There are some ingredients you need to learn about. So there is, instead of bovine gelatin, Knox gelatin, animal gelatin, we use agar, which is a sea vegetable that has been used for millennia. It's safe. I've had so many people go through the course and say to me, I could never get it to work until I took this course, because there's I'm instructing people to hydrate it the same way you hydrate gelatin. So the course builds, and then there's cakes, and there's cookies, and there's biscuits, drop biscuits, and fruit desserts, all kinds of desserts. And the students get to be creative. There's what is called a black box. It's kind of like the midterm where they have to build a trifle, but follow criteria, multi-layer cakes, and the capstone, which is worth a lot of points for grading, is a dessert party with
Oh.
5 miniature desserts, and we write a lot of description. So, of course, during the pandemic, people weren't able to get some ingredients, where I'm working with people to help them find other ways to do things. We've given extensions because, well, what's been going on. And now when the next course starts on January 4th, but as soon as someone enrolls, they can start the course, because we want to give people as much time as they need. Extensions are possible. And, there's a lot of personalized support. It's just remarkable. Once a month, I do a live event. There are other live events with other chefs. And I think it's great. When I taught in culinary school, groups did things, and not everybody could see what the instructor was doing. Here, the quality of the videos is so amazing. I remember when we were filming the videos that are in the course, I said to the producer, I would like to see smoke coming out of the top of the blender, to show what happens with that cream, thinking that'll never happen. And there's such close up that you can see that.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
see
I
that
love that.
the production and value is really great. And so
It
I
makes a
think,
big difference.
makes a big difference. So anyone, whether they're absolute beginners and just want to be able to make something for themselves or their family, or professional chefs who know today, if you don't know how to do vegan desserts, you're leaving money on the table. And for health reasons, then, come on in and take this course. And as I said, the cyber sale is going on now. It is the least expensive it will ever be, even at full price. I think it's a steal.
Yeah.
Essential Vegan Desserts was on 4 best of vegan culinary classes in this last year. Savoir magazine named it #1 for vegan desserts, and Live Kindly. I don't know. I was very proud of it. I was really proud of it. Of course, we talk about egg replacement and different kinds of milks and things, but I have some astonishingly talented people, and I can see when the light bulb goes off. I see the coconut is here now. This young woman is in Vietnam and doing heartbreakingly beautiful cakes. I mean, I have people doing cakes and desserts that make me swoon, just swoon. I'm so proud of everyone. So proud of everyone.
Well, they have a good teacher, #1. #2, I love how flexible you are. Like, even if they purchase the course now, they can start earlier.
Right.
I love
right,
that. And
right,
you're flexible with ingredients, with submission dates and all of that. That's
right.
awesome. That makes a
Well,
big difference.
yeah, technically the course has to be completed in 3 months, but
Yeah.
if people have a problem, we'll do something about it.
Yeah.
And a passing grade, now we are accredited by the ACF, which is the American Culinary Federation. You get 50 continuing ed credits. This is a certifying agency for professional chefs. There is college credit given for this course now, and credly badges. So it's really become quite a thing.
Okay,
It's
so
a good thing to have.
now we know why you're known as the queen of vegan desserts.
You think?
I think.
Maybe I have to get a tiara. I don't
You
know.
do. You need it. You need it.
I
So
don't
tell
know.
us, please, a bit more about your consultant work. Basically, how do you help others, I guess, outside of your courses and your books? Because you've already mentioned how you're helping some companies, but I just wanted to give you the opportunity to share whatever you wanted to share about your consultant work. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, on my website, I do have something that says, if you'd like to work with me, just get in touch with me. And people find me in different ways. This international pastry company, they have innovation centers all over the place, and they're gorgeous. So they're known for bread, chocolate, and pastries. They wanted a solid grounding in plant-based desserts and vegan desserts for it used to be in person, a week-long innovation, technical training. It was kind of virtual. I went to one that was not very far from here. It was, what a facility. It was magnificent. And then we streamed my 2 days of explanations. I had a PowerPoint for them, and we had questions and answers. And then I picked recipes to demo that would explain certain ingredients or certain points I was talking about. And this was streamed to their centers in other states. I told you that I'm working on bringing some grocery items to the market. Sometimes I
Awesome.
work one-on-one with people. I've been booked as a birthday present. Someone
I
will say,
love that.
can you do a private class for my friend? So
Oh,
I've been doing more, here and there, some online things. I had during lockdown, when we were really locked down. That feels like a long time ago, but I remember it. I live alone. So, my kids, my kids bought me a toy dog
oh
that
my
breathes. When you
goodness.
put a D battery in it, it breathes. And they didn't want me to
Oh,
be lonely.
oh my
It was the cutest
goodness.
thing.
That was
But during
thoughtful.
lockdown, lifestyle managers from a condo building got in touch with me. So how do people find me? I don't know. Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah, yeah,
LinkedIn,
yeah.
or they find my website. If you Google vegan desserts, maybe. But this woman asked, would you do a cooking class for my residents? Now they were not vegan, so she said to me, do you only do vegan? I said, well, yeah, I'm going to do plant-based vegan desserts, but why don't we phrase it as this is for everyone. There's no
Yeah.
cholesterol. There's no cholesterol in vegan desserts. Well, that was another story. They had so much fun. She booked me again, and then she told other lifestyle managers. So I probably did about 6 of those. And
Oh
it was so much,
my.
it was very rewarding because
Yeah,
I was lonely too. So it was a way
yeah,
for me to
yeah,
be with people.
yeah.
And some of them cooked along. Not everybody cooked along. It was really fun. It was really fun.
And
So,
you mentioned, sorry, you mentioned the lockdown, but last summer I remember going to a very popular kitchen supply store. I won't call the name, but super popular. And I overheard one of the employees saying to a customer that because of the lockdown, I mean, they were so busy, selling kitchen gadgets, quote unquote, because more people were cooking for themselves. And
well, that's right.
it's in connection with what you're saying, Fran.
That's been, if there's a plus, I mean, I like to think, I think I have to think to stay okay, that there's a plus to everything. I've been very lucky. My family is healthy. I'm healthy. We're also taking precautions.
Yeah.
We're vaccinated. We're wearing masks. We're socially distanced. My building was super safe. Still have to wear a mask to go outside my door, to go get into the elevator. I'm okay with that. But I was in touch with KitchenAid reach out to me. This was really thrilling. They were doing a campaign for specifically women in culinary and wanted to hear little stories. So I did, and then they, asked me afterwards, and I have had a KitchenAid stand mixer since, that was
They're
my graduation,
beautiful. They're
yeah,
so
graduation
pretty.
present and their workhorses.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get one for my daughter, a bigger one for her birthday. They've been,
I
they
believe
were
it.
out of stock, and
I believe you.
um, flour was hard to get.
It was.
Well, I've got a wonderful group of neighbors and friends here in Philadelphia. I've got actually 2 of my friends here went through vegan baking boot camp and had restaurants. Then my friend Dory up the street, who is an expert in sourdough bread,
Ooh.
went through the Ruby plant-based professional program. And there's like four of us. So Dory, because of her bread expertise, she ordered 50 pounds of different flours, weighed it up, bagged it up, and we shared it.
Oh,
And we shared it. So
nice.
that's how we got that. You know, when I ordered the dates recently,
Yeah.
I ordered enough to share 15 pounds each with three friends. And that's how how we got around some of it. We didn't go right up to each other. We put the bags
Yeah.
down. But
Right. Hmm.
that's what you do. That's what you do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I always try to shop local. I want the stores here. I mean, online it's super convenient. There's no question about it, and seem to have everything. But when I need kitchen equipment, I go down to Fonte's in the Italian market or Williams Sonoma. It's just like right out my door there are Kitchen Capers. And that's where I want to get things. They're having some supply chain issues, but
Yeah, they were.
unless
Hmm.
I absolutely have to have something right away,
Hmm.
I'm going to shop in my local stores.
Yeah, and that's how I was able to hear this conversation because I was shopping for kitchen gadgets and equipment, and that's when I heard, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like it makes sense that people are at home and they're cooking more, you know. So that made, I mean,
Right.
it just
People,
stuck with me. It really did.
yeah, people have definitely been cooking more. I have I have students who are making their own tofu, their own soy
Yes,
milk, sourdough bread, of course. Everybody's doing
super
sourdough
yummy.
bread. Super yummy.
There
So,
was some like not competitions, but I forget what they were calling it. I don't know. They were like sharing it on social media.
yeah, yeah. So that's been kind of fun. That's been kind
Yeah.
of fun. Are there any questions that have come in that we need to answer?
Not
No?
yet, no. So
Okay. I
please,
just want to,
yeah, thanks for pointing it out, Fran. Just a reminder, first of all, thanks everyone for joining. This is an awesome conversation. We will wrap this up soon so Fran can continue her day. But if you do have questions and comments, please put them down below. If you're watching on the replay, feel free to still put your questions down below, and Fran will be happy to answer, I'm sure. And so, Fran,
absolutely.
awesome. Fran, I'm going to ask you if there are any future projects or events that you are, wanting to share at this time.
Well, there are two, but I've signed non-disclose agreements, so I can't talk about them. But I'm always doing something. I'm always available to work with people. And that's in addition. I mean, my first love, and as far as I'm concerned, my first obligation, but it's like this wonderful, thrilling obligation is to my students.
Yeah.
So I grade every single day and or do more to be with my Ruby people. But people can reach out to me at Fran. Go to my website, francostigan.com. There's a way to reach me. And any ideas anybody has, that'll be great. There's probably going to be, conceivably another little book here or there and
Awesome.
everywhere, updating some courses. And as I said,
Awesome.
these things that I can't talk about, but
No,
I'm
no, no,
excited
that's
about.
fine. No, that's
And
good.
I'm hoping in this lifetime to be able to start traveling again. I
Yes.
was a guest chef on trips to Italy, to Alaska, Costa Rica.
Oh, yeah.
I did go back. I am a guest visiting chef at the Rancho La Puerta Spa, which is this magnificent holistic spa in Baja, Mexico. And of course, it didn't go last year.
No.
And this is like a highlight of my year. It's just a
Yeah.
wonderful, gorgeous place
Yeah.
and very healing.
Yeah.
So I did go in June. That was my very first trip in what, a year and a half,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
And I'm expecting to go back again in the late spring, if not sooner. So I will be doing that. It's a
Awesome.
wonderful place. It's just Jill Nussina, my friend Jill, the Veggie Queen, teaches there. Ellen Kenner was, you know, a lot of chefs that, you know, Chef AJ teach
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And it's just wonderful. It was very healing. So
I
I
can
enjoy that.
imagine. I can imagine,
Yeah.
and I have seen that through my web surfing. I found that particular rancho, and obviously some of the people you mentioned. And so you mentioned that people can contact you on your website. Is there any other way you want to share where people can contact you?
Thank you. Well, I would be very happy if people here who don't follow me on Instagram follow me. On Facebook, it's Vegan Pastry Chef Fran Costigan.
Okay.
Everywhere else, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, it's Good Cakes Fran.
Yeah,
And that's just a really old name that's stuck. Good Cakes. Why not?
I like it. I
My
like
one of my
it.
granddaughters, when she was very young, she said, "Let's open a bakery called Good Cakes Franland."
Yes, yes, yes. I love that.
Every once in a while, I think that's what I want to do next. I want to have a line of,
Oh,
you
you're
know,
gonna have them
foods,
around the
or a
corner,
bakery would be
and you
really fun.
and you're gonna have a line of people just lining up around
Well,
the
I hope so.
corner.
There
Yes.
are. I am delighted beyond to see people, you know, having successful pastry shops that I like to say that just happen to be vegan, that
I
everyone,
agree.
you know, my idea really is that everyone can eat together.
I
So
agree.
I never saw vegan food as exclusive. Like, it's
Yeah,
not about what you can eat. Everyone can eat together. It kind of drives me crazy when I think about every once in a while, someone will say, "Oh, you can't have that lentil soup. It's made with chicken stock." Why would you do that? Lentils are a plant.
I agree.
Make it with vegetable stock, you know?
I agree.
Make the cake with oat milk instead of with plant milk. Use vegan sugar. Then everyone can have it. Of course, make it well. Make
I
it really
agree.
well. And
And and
yeah.
I've heard so many people who are plant-based or vegan take 100% plant-based dishes to gatherings, and everyone just gobbles them up. So they've learned they have to take extra bigger portions because
Isn't that the
yeah,
truth?
I've heard over
Isn't
and
that the
over
truth?
multiple
I
times people have told me
know.
that.
It's true. Or if I'm at a non-vegan restaurant and I order the vegan meal, and you know, I generally will call ahead because
Yeah.
don't be giving me a plate of pasta with some steamed vegetables or
Yeah.
sorbet. No,
Yeah.
no, no,
Step it
no, no,
up.
no.
Step it up.
Step it up. And then everybody says, "I want what she's
Yes.
having." You know,
Yes.
recently was at an outdoor gathering, and I brought a plate. Well, I brought a box of desserts, of course, but I brought a plate of vegan cheeses,
Oh,
and we have
wow.
come such a long way.
I agree.
It's unbelievable. I mean,
I
the New York
agree.
Times, not too long ago, the New York Times had an article about vegan cheeses, and this
Ooh.
big kind of, it's called Maverick. No, not Maverick. I have to think of the other name
I'll have
of
to
this
Google
cheese,
that.
Conscious Cultures Creamery, which is
Wow.
based, Steve Babaki is based
Wow.
in Philadelphia, is doing like
Oh.
these aged brie, camembert,
Oh.
almost like a blue. So I brought both of his
Amazing.
and also Miyoko's
Yeah. Yeah.
winter truffle.
Super
And
popular. Yeah.
and people were like, "Really?
And may
These
I have some
cheeses
more,
are
please?
really good." Well, sometimes I say, "You're not vegan anymore?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
right,
vegan."
because
That's
they can't tell. They can't
They
tell the
can tell.
difference, and it tastes so
So
yummy. They're
good.
like, "Can I please have some more of this?"
So there was just a little bit of each left, and I brought them home with me. I didn't leave them. And then a friend who had been at this party made homemade fig jam, and I had like a what you would call one perfect bite. You know, I had
Oh
cheese
gosh.
on a piece of baguette with a little bit of
Oh,
the
I'm
jam.
getting
It was so
hungry.
good. Yeah, I know. It
I'm
was really
getting
good.
hungry just listening to you. That
So,
is beautiful.
so
Well, Fran,
everyone, eat a good dinner and then have a piece of dessert. This is going to probably be I'm going to rewarm this over a bain-marie, which just means a pot with a teeny little bit of water in it. And I'll frost, probably glaze some of these. And then, you know, if you don't have any cake around, you just slice a really nice sourdough baguette, a little olive oil, put a little bit of this ganache on it and some flaky sea salt.
Oh,
Very good. Very good.
goodness. Exquisite. Well,
Very good.
friend, before we wrap this up, I want to just thank you so very much for taking the time to come on and speak with us. I want to thank everybody who watched either live or on the replay. And friend, I want to ask if you have any final thoughts for us to kind of wrap this all up and put a bow on it for us, please. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you very much for having me. I want to thank everyone who joined us today, and just be kind to each other. Eat real food. Doesn't have to be complicated. There's nothing wrong. You know, I eat my meals in bowls. I live alone. It's fine. And have a little treat too. It's really, you know, it's good for the soul. It's good for the soul. Don't be denying yourself. I don't worry about having some desserts because I'm not eating a lot of prepared food. So
No.
I don't have all that extra fat and extra salt and, you know, all those preservatives and things.
Yeah. And the process part of it.
And the process part of it.
Yeah.
So definitely feel free to reach out to me, either on social media or, you know, email with any questions you might have or comments, and I answer all of my requests. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, friend. Thanks, everyone. So, friend, I'm going to save this replay, well, this live. I'm going to save it on my feed on IGTV and stories, and then I'll message you after.
Super. Thank you
so
very much.
Thank you,
Bye.
friend. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.